All right, guys, welcome to Talkin' Tech. Our rebreather reviews, or is that what we're going to call them? Gear reviews?
Rebreather demos, or this is just here's a rebreather. You know?
Yeah, so why don't we introduce Rick Kruzel,
Tech instructor.
tech instructor for the Stars. He's a rock star. He is the man. He is teaching on the Prism 2 by Hollis. Right? So he is going to walk you through his machine, tell us what he likes about it, what he doesn't like about it, how he unfucked the machine, because I'm sure he did a few things that needed to be done. We're going to go through that, and we're going to show you a little bit about the Prism 2. So
Come on in.
come on in, let's take a look.
So Rick, this is the P2, which is sort of an evolution of the P1. Tell us about it.
Well, as you said, Bender, it's the evolution of the original Prism, which stands for Peter Reedy's Incredible Steam Machine, who was the original inventor of it. Hollis bought the technology from him and continued to improve upon it. So we ended up with the Prism 2. My unit is fairly stock. I did go with back-mounted counter lungs as opposed to front-mounted counter lungs.
And we'll show you guys the front-mounted counter lungs in a moment.
Yep, I dove open circuit tech for quite a while, so I was used to having an open chest without a lot of clutter. I did my original training with front-mounted counter lungs, which, you know, some people like them, that's fine, dive whatever works for you. For me, it was like going back to recreational days and having, you know,
The vest.
my old vest up there. So I did go to the back-mounted counter lungs, which I like much better. It's more like my old open circuit tech diving days. I dive a standard Hogarthian harness system. I don't use the Hollis adjustable system that comes with some of them.
One-piece webbing.
One-piece webbing.
So now, like a lot of rebreathers are becoming more common, it's just your simple backplate. You could unbolt this backplate and throw it right onto a set of doubles.
Exactly.
And your harness never changes.
Yep, the only thing I changed on my harness from open circuit technical diving was I changed out the shoulder D-rings because I found these nifty ones that have a little divider in the middle.
So you can run your hoses.
So I run a hose through the inside one so it keeps my manual adds kind of close in where I can find them. And I can clip accessories to the outside and they don't get all tangled up.
Well, I noticed it looks like you also side mount your bailouts.
I
with
do.
Some bungees.
Yep, I side mount.
You know how we feel about side mount.
Yep. Well, that's the way it goes. So
Nobody's perfect.
yeah, we all have improvements to make. I do side mount my bailouts, primarily in cave diving is where I started doing that. Other modifications I've made, very few really. I find it to be a pretty solid, dependable unit right out of the box. I did upgrade to the Nerd rather than the standard HUD.
Show them that cover you've got on the Nerd. That is not standard.
That is not a diving accessory.
This is
it?
yes, this is not a sheer water diving accessory. Should we make it a trivia question as to what is the Nerd cover?
We can ask everybody and then find out in the argument section. We will respond to you and let you know what it actually is and give you a link to where to get one.
So what's the purpose of having some kind of a cover on a Nerd computer like that?
The cover they give you standard is just a regular lens cover.
And you lose it within the first 3 trips.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if that, or the first 3 dives, whichever. You know, this cover protects the lens. It's susceptible to sunlight damage if it's open out on the back of the boat like that for long periods of time. Keeps it from getting scratched, broken. So I keep it covered whenever I'm not in the water actually looking at it. The standard HUD is fine. I dove with that for a few years when I first got on the Prism 2. Didn't have any problems with the HUD at all. But as the story goes in diving, a friend of mine loaned me his Nerd. I tried it for a dive and said,
First
well,
race is free. You get to pay for the next one.
Yep. So
the way of the road, Rick.
Yep. So there went.
So I noticed you're also diving a DSV and not a bailout valve. I think that's an option on the Prism, isn't it?
It is. You can get bailout valves on the Prism 2. I'm not a big bailout valve guy. I prefer.
Agreed.
I prefer DSVs, but yeah, Hollis does make a BOV if you're so inclined to dive that way.
You're running manual add valves for O2 and for independent O2 and independent.
And you can run off boards on this.
Yes, that's another modification I make. I added the off boards to the manuals when they come from Hollis.
And
that's
these are just
plugged.
standard scuba
low pressure inflators.
There's no swage locks. There's no.
Yep, no swage. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I added those so I can plug in off board if I need to.
And diluent, are you adding typically with your manual add, or are you using an ADV? How are you getting the dill in the machine on a normal dive?
It does have an ADV. On my descent, I usually prefer to use the manual because I like to be in control, and I kind of use the ADV as a safety net.
So you've got this. Is this tunable by the diver, or is it?
No.
It's set.
It's set. That's where it's at.
Yep. That's,
But you could turn it on and off, right?
No, I do not have a shut off.
No, you do not have
So
a
it
shut off.
must
Okay.
be set pretty tight then.
It is. Yeah, that's why I prefer using the manual because it's a pretty tight draw when you need it. About the only other thing I did is modified the cover a bit. If I pull that off, the standard cover is just black plastic with the Prism 2 logo down the side. Mine got beat up pretty quickly. And I read on the internet, so it must be a good idea, that guys were getting them sprayed with bed liner. So I took it to my local truck bed liner shop and had them spray my cover with truck bed liner. And this is, a couple of years old now.
This one looks much more durable than,
Yeah.
it's been beat up a bit.
That one that's in Bob's hand's been dropped a couple times this weekend already.
Yeah, it's falling off of boats.
There is a sound. I guess there's a
Whoop.
trivia question too. If a rebreather falls in the woods, does it? And no one's there to hear it. Does it make a sound?
And we want to see, in the argument section, if they can guess whose rebreather has fallen off the boat multiple times
This weekend.
this weekend.
Electronics. So you've got your Shearwater. That is just data only, and then you've got this. Is this a controller?
Yes.
Or,
Yep. P2 comes with Shearwater electronics. It is a controller, so it maintains your set point for you. The Nerd 2, also being by Shearwater, is an identical display, but that is not a controller. That's just a monitor.
And again, this is a fully electronic unit, so you could fly the machine manually.
Yep, you can.
But you can also rely on the solenoid to control your PO2 and keep that fixed where you want it,
So
right?
kind of an off-topic question because everybody has different positions on this. When you're flying the machine, you set a bottom PO2 on the handset. Are you just letting the solenoid do everything? Or are you trying to stay a little bit ahead of it?
I
how do you
try
do
and
it?
stay a little bit ahead of it if I can until I get mesmerized by the awesomeness of the wrecks that we dive up here.
Such as today.
Such as today, case in point.
Sorry it took me so long.
But
I said into the
I
garbage.
try
can.
and stay ahead of it with the manual, and then I've got the safety net with the controller. If I'm distracted and the PO2 drops a bit, the controller
Gonna wake
picks
you,
it up.
hey, dummy. Pay
Yep,
attention.
as soon as you hear that
Fly
solenoid,
the
it's like,
airplane.
oh, all right, yeah. So
Well, why don't we spin this thing around and show everybody watching here what the back of this machine looks like. I'll hold on to your cover. So you're running 3-liter tanks, pretty much standard with inline valves, right?
yep, Faber 3 liters inline valves.
Are those Hollis regulators then with the 3 ports?
Yep, yeah.
Those are kind of the routing on those is quite slick.
Now that's the same as I forget the model number, but Hollis makes the same regs, but they have them all the way around where you could use them for open circuit diving. They just modified where the ports are located on these, I believe, right?
Yeah. The rebreather first stages have been modified for hose routing, so you don't have hoses coming out all the way around the
And this is sort of unique to the P1, P2 is the acrylic kind of see-through.
Yeah, the clear.
Well, now that way you can look at your buddy, and when he's flooded his machine, you could say, "Hey, man, you're in trouble."
Yeah, when you start seeing water, and when the cover is on, even when the cover is on, you still have.
You can see a lot of the scrubber. See
Now
what's going on
this
back
stand
there.
down here, is that a Hollis option? Is that aftermarket? Where'd you find that?
That one's actually aftermarket. My dive buddy had a few of those made. Prisms do come with stands. When I got this one, they did not come with stands back in the early days. So he knows a guy who knows how to weld and welded up a couple of stands for us.
That one looks pretty good. Now, what do you got up here? This is your head.
Yep.
Inside here, you got your 9-volt battery, which controls your solenoid.
Yep, 2 9-volt batteries in the battery compartment for the solenoid, and there's a 3.6-volt SAFT battery for the HUD. So that's really the only user-accessible area. The actual electronics of the machine are down in the lower portion of the head, which are non-user serviceable.
How many cells in this machine?
3 cells mounted above the scrubber. So with the shear water electronics, it has a voting logic, so it votes a cell out if it's wildly.
Is there anything special about the cells? Are they coaxial? Are they Molex?
They're Molex, your standard 1139s.
Okay. And direction of flow, like which way does the gas flow?
It goes around this way, so the inhale is on this side, exhale's on this side, so it's left to right.
Okay.
Left to right gas.
Yep.
Okay.
Very cool. Do we want to have a quick look at the?
Yeah, let's spin this around so it doesn't fall off the bench, because our other buddies dropped his off the bench quite a few times. Again, guys, in the argument section, we want to see. Take a guess at who keeps dropping his machine. All right, let's take a look at this one here. I don't think Rick has really looked this one over, but he's going to point some stuff out anyways. That looks backwards or upside down or something.
Yep, well,
but,
not my machine. So this is the standard shear water HUD that it comes with. The Nerd 2 is an upgrade. This one also has the DSV, not the BOV. But this one has the front-mounted counter lungs. So underneath is a standard harness, just like every tech diving backplate. So you put it on with the harness, and then the counter lungs come down over your shoulder, rather than mine that are back mount.
So Rick, you've dove both front and back mounted counter lungs.
Yep.
Do you notice any? Obviously you got a clear, clean chest, but do you notice any work of breathing difference?
No, it's another thing you hear people talk about. The back mounted counter lungs have crappy work of breathing. Maybe on a machine you can measure it, but breathing it and diving it, I didn't notice any significant difference.
All right, and what do you got here? That looks like
That's
your
it.
ADV.
Yep.
On this
And manual add for
manual add. So
the
that
dill.
for manual add, you're just going to push down on that.
Yep. Yeah, there's a dill hose that comes around, connects to that.
Yep.
So that's your ADV and manual add on that side, and on the other side you have your manual add for oxygen and also an overpressure valve.
And then I believe these are the drains in case
Yep,
you
your
get
drool-
water in there, you
yep,
can
your
drain the
drool
waters
tubes.
out.
That is one of the disadvantages of the back-mounted counter lungs. You do have to take them completely off the unit, and spin them upside down in every which way to drain them really well. Front-mounted counter lungs are definitely easier to rinse the insides and drain them out. So, it's a trade-off. But
Well, very cool. Appreciate you giving us a sort of quick tour of the P2 machine.
And actually, Rick, if anybody's interested in training, who do they want to talk to? How do we get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me through my Facebook page, Great Lakes Tech Diving, website, greatlakestechdiving.com, Instagram. I'm easy to find.
Wonderful. Rick, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it.
Guys, like and subscribe. Watch this in continuous loop. It helps out the algorithm. And stay tuned for some more cool rebreather run-throughs. Thanks for watching Talking Tech.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you later.